The world has screamed at you. It has whispered doubts into your ear, taunted you with its judgments, and told you time and again that you were never enough. But what they didn't realize, what they failed to see, was that your silence was louder than their insults. Every word they hurled, every sneer they cast, you stood in silence, and in that silence you were louder than they could ever imagine. They didn't know it, but that silence, that was your strength. That was the roar that echoed through the universe, shaking the very foundation of every limitation they placed upon you. Right now, in this very moment, I want you to feel the weight of what I'm saying. You are not broken. You are not a failure, and you are certainly not defeated. This is not the end of your story, but the beginning of something far greater than you've ever imagined. There's a reason why you're still here. There's a reason you're still fighting, even when it feels like everything is against you. The world may have tried to drown you in noise, but what they didn't understand was that every time you remained silent, you were giving yourself the strength to rise. And now, it's time to wake up. It's time to remember who you truly are. The time for doubt is over. The time for listening to the voices that try to tear you down is gone. This is your moment to rise from the ashes of their insults, to show them that their words have no power over you. You've carried the weight of their ridicule long enough, and it ends now. You have within you untapped potential that is begging to be unleashed. Your self-worth is not determined by their opinions, and it never was. It was always inside of you, waiting for the right moment to explode. That moment is now. The truth is, the world's judgments mean nothing if you do not let them define you. The opinions of others are nothing more than fleeting shadows in the face of your light. And today, that light is about to shine brighter than it ever has before. This isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about rediscovering your worth, claiming the power that has always been yours, and standing tall in the face of every insult, every challenge, every doubt. This is the moment where you decide who you will become. This is where you make the choice to stop shrinking in the face of their expectations and to start expanding into the greatness that's been waiting to be awakened within you. You are not defined by their insults, by their criticisms, or by their ignorance. You are defined by your actions, your resilience, and the strength that no one can ever take away from you. You have everything you need to become the person you were always meant to be. Feel that fire burning inside of you. It's not too late. In fact, it's just the beginning. This is your time to stop hiding, to stop listening to the voices that say you're not enough. Because you are more than enough. You are exactly what the world needs, and it's time for you to step into the power that's always been yours. The silence that once served as a shield is now the sound of your roar. It's time to let the world hear it. You've felt it, haven't you? The weight of the world pressing down on your shoulders, making each step feel like a monumental task. The days when it felt like the light had abandoned you and every inch of progress was met with 1,000 obstacles. Those times when the world seemed to look past you as if you were invisible, as if your very existence didn't matter. They didn't understand, did they? They didn't know the battle you were fighting, the wounds that were so deep, so hidden, that no one could see the blood dripping from your heart. It wasn't their fault. They were too busy with their own lives to notice the pain you carried. But in that silence, in that space where no one could reach you, you were left to fight alone. The struggle was real, and it was suffocating. You were misunderstood. You were told to get over it or move on, but they didn't know the weight of the darkness you were carrying. They didn't know what it was like to be buried under the expectations, the judgments, and the voices of those who never truly saw you. Your silence wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a reflection of the weight you were carrying, of the battle inside that no one could see. They may have called you quiet, reserved, or distant, but they didn't know that your silence wasn't born of indifference. It was born from pain. Every word you chose not to speak, every moment of withdrawal was a defense mechanism, a way to shield yourself from the sting of rejection, from the hurtful words that echoed in your mind. The villain in this story isn't a person. It's not one singular face that you can point to and say, that's the source of my pain. No, the villain is far more insidious. It's the voice inside your head that whispers, you're not good enough. You'll never make it. Why bother trying? It's the doubts that creep in during the quiet moments, when you're alone with your thoughts, convincing you that your dreams are out of reach, that the weight of your past mistakes defines your future. And then, there's the external critics, the people who spoke over you, told you that your ideas didn't matter, that your voice wasn't worth hearing. They saw your dreams as too big, too unrealistic. They question your every move, every decision, and every aspiration, pushing you further into the shadows. But here's the thing, their doubts don't define you. The voices that tried to drown you out, the opinions that tried to silence you, they were never meant to be your truth. You see, the struggle you're facing right now, it's temporary. It's not the end of your story, no matter how much it may feel that way at times. The pain you're feeling, the weight of being misunderstood, the feeling of being alone in your fight, is real. but it is also temporary. The wounds will heal, the doubts will fade, the critics will be forgotten. What will remain is the strength you find within yourself, the courage to keep moving forward, and the knowledge that you are not defined by what has happened to you, but by what you choose to do in the face of it all. The pain of feeling unseen, unheard, unimportant, it's not something that can be erased overnight, but you don't have to carry it forever. The struggle is what shapes you, what forges your resilience. Every moment of doubt, every word of criticism, every time you've been told you're not enough, it all becomes the fuel for your rise. It doesn't make the pain go away, but it does give you the strength to keep going, to push past the limits others tried to impose on you. Your silence, the one born from your wounds, has always held power. It has always been your shield, protecting you when you needed it the most. But now, it's time for that silence to speak. It's time to let go of the weight, to leave behind the doubts and the critics, and to find the voice that has been waiting to be heard. The struggle you're going through is not in vain. It is not meaningless. It is shaping you into the person you are becoming, a person who will no longer shrink in the face of adversity, but rise with unwavering strength. And when you look back on this moment, when you stand tall and proud of who you've become, you'll see that the struggle was necessary. It was a catalyst for your growth, a test of your resilience, and it is only temporary. So hold on, keep fighting. You're not alone. The strength to rise is already within you. There are moments when the weight of life presses so heavily upon your chest that breathing itself feels like an impossible task. The world outside seems distant, muted, like you're trapped in a place where nothing moves, where every step feels like it leads you further into darkness. You are surrounded by a silence that feels suffocating, so loud, so deafening that it drowns out everything else. It's a silence that holds you in its grip, a quietness that speaks volumes about how far you've fallen, about how little the world sees or understands. And in this silence, you find no comfort. Instead, you find only the reflection of your deepest fears. In this moment, it feels like everything you've ever worked for, everything you've ever believed in, is slipping through your fingers. You stand at the edge of despair, and the weight of your own thoughts is too much to bear. You may have reached out for help, but every hand you've grasped has pulled away. You've shouted, you've cried, but the world has been silent in return. It's as if no one can hear you. No one can see the pain that courses through your veins, the broken pieces of your heart scattered across the floor. Your efforts to rise seem futile, like you're trying to swim against a current that pulls you deeper with every stroke. You are stuck, you are lost, and the walls that surround you seem to close in, trapping you in a prison built by your own fears, your own doubts. The silence that once protected you now serves as your prison. It is the quiet you created to shield yourself from the world's judgments, but now that silence has become the very thing that holds you captive. It's the silence of isolation, the silence of not being understood. It's the silence that tells you that your pain is too much to bear, too complicated to explain, so you retreat further into yourself, pushing everyone away, shutting down every part of you that yearns for connection. You don't want to burden anyone with your pain, and yet this silence only deepens the hole you're in. It has become a barrier between you and the world, and the longer you stay inside it, the harder it becomes to imagine a way out. But it's not just the silence, it's the waiting. You've waited for the right moment, for the right words, for someone to notice, for the pain to subside on its own. You've waited for the world to change, for the people around you to understand your struggle, for circumstances to align just perfectly so that you can take that first step out of the darkness. But what you've come to realize is that waiting never brings change. It only keeps you stagnant, stuck in the same loop of despair, watching as your dreams fade further away. The waiting game is a cruel illusion. It promises that things will get better if you just hold on long enough, but it never tells you that you are the one who has to make that change. You can't keep waiting for others to validate you, for life to hand you an opportunity. You are the one who has to take the first step, no matter how small, no matter how uncertain the path ahead may seem. This is the part of the journey where it feels like everything is falling apart. It feels like the weight of the world is too much to bear, like the struggle will never end. You might be questioning everything, your choices, your worth, your ability to ever rise above the challenges that life has thrown at you. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that this is the end, that there is no way out, that the darkness is all there is. You might feel like you've reached your lowest point, like there is no ground left to stand on, and every step forward is an impossible leap. But here's the truth, this is not the end. This moment of despair, this crushing weight, this silence, it's not a permanent state. It's part of the process, part of your transformation. This is the moment where the old you is breaking down, where the person who was defined by fear and limitation is starting to fade away. And as much as it hurts, as much as it feels like you're losing everything, what you're actually doing is letting go of the things that have held you back. You are shedding the layers of doubt, the suffocating expectations, and the false beliefs that have kept you from seeing your own power. This isn't the end. This is the necessary destruction before the rebirth. The storm always comes before the calm, and the darkness always precedes the dawn. So yes, it feels impossible right now. Yes, it feels like everything you've ever known is falling apart. But remember, the pain, the silence, the waiting, it's all part of the journey. You are not stuck. You are not defeated. You are simply in the process of being remade, of becoming someone stronger, someone who will rise from the ashes of their own struggles. This is not your final destination. This is the beginning of something greater, something that will make everything you've endured worth it. You are on the verge of a breakthrough. All you need to do is keep going, even when it feels like there is no way forward, because there is, and it starts with the realization that this moment is not the end, but the catalyst for everything that is yet to come. In the depths of despair, when it feels as though all hope is lost and the darkness is all-consuming, there is something extraordinary happening beneath the surface. It is in this very silence, in the moments when you feel most invisible, that the seeds of change are quietly taking root. Change doesn't always announce itself with fanfare or dramatic shifts. Sometimes it starts as a whisper, a subtle stirring within the soul that tells you you are not done yet. Even in your darkest hour, the potential for transformation has always been present, lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to emerge. You've been in the silence for so long, you've come to see it as a burden, a sign of your inability to break free from the chains that hold you. But what if this silence isn't weakness? What if it's actually a form of resilience? What if it's the quiet strength that has allowed you to survive, even when everything around you was falling apart? The silence you've endured is not a prison. It is your armor, your protection, your foundation. It has shielded you from the chaos, giving you the space you needed to reflect, to heal, and to gather your strength for what's coming next. Just as the coldest winter doesn't last forever, neither does this period of stillness. The harshest seasons are always followed by the warmth of spring. You might feel like you've been buried under snow, trapped in a place where nothing seems to grow. But beneath the frozen ground, life is stirring. Roots are quietly reaching for the light, stretching toward the surface. And soon, the seeds that were planted in the darkness will begin to sprout. Your silence, the very thing that once felt like a weight, will soon give birth to something beautiful. A new beginning, a renewed sense of purpose, a fresh perspective on the possibilities that lie ahead. In this moment, you need to realize that you have the power to decide what comes next. The narrative you've been living doesn't have to be the one you continue to play out. You are not defined by your pain, your struggles, or your past. You are not a product of the doubts or judgments that others have placed upon you. The true power lies within you to rewrite your story, to reclaim your voice, and to reshape your future. The past does not have to dictate your tomorrow. You are the author of your own life, and the pen is in your hand. Look closely, and you'll see that this moment of darkness is not a sign of defeat. It's a fertile ground for growth. You have been through enough to know what you're capable of, to understand the strength that's hidden within you, waiting to be unleashed. The challenges you've faced, the struggles you've endured, they have only made you stronger. And now, as you stand on the precipice of change, you have everything you need to rise. It may not happen overnight, and it may not be easy, but it will happen, because change begins with you. The seeds of transformation are already planted within you. You don't need to search for them. You don't need to wait for someone else to show you the way. They are within you, waiting to grow. All it takes is a shift in perspective, a willingness to believe that you are capable of more than you have been told. The world doesn't get to decide your worth, you do. And once you take control of that narrative, once you choose to believe that you are worthy of everything you've ever dreamed of, the path to transformation will unfold before you. The silence that has held you captive is not the end. It is only the beginning of the most profound change you will ever experience. Just like a tree that begins as a tiny seed buried in the soil, you are growing, even if you can't see it yet. You are stronger than you think, more resilient than you know, and your potential is limitless. The storm you've been weathering has only served to prepare you for the strength you are about to discover within yourself. You are a force of nature, a powerful being capable of creating the life you deserve. It all begins now, right in this moment, in the quiet of your heart, where the seeds of change are quietly taking root. The world may not see it yet, but you are evolving. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be. The darkness you've endured will soon give way to the light of a new dawn. The silence will transform into the roar of your strength, and every part of you that once felt broken will rise in the most beautiful, unstoppable way. The path ahead may be uncertain, but trust this. You are ready. You are more than ready. The change has already begun. You've been through the fire. You've walked through the darkest, most difficult moments of your life, and yet you are still standing. Every time you thought you couldn't go any further, you pushed through. Every time you felt like the world was too much to bear, you found a way to take another breath. You've been carrying a weight no one else could possibly understand, yet here you are, still fighting, still breathing, still alive. And that right there is your first lesson. Strength is forged in adversity. The silence you once felt was not weakness. It was not a sign of defeat. It was a reflection of your inner strength. You held your ground when others would have crumbled. You endured when others would have given up. That silence was the shield that protected you, the quiet resilience that kept you standing even when the world seemed determined to knock you down. Now, it's time to shift the narrative. Now, it's time to stop seeing that silence as something to fear, something to escape from, and start seeing it for what it truly is. A testament to your incredible power. You are stronger than you have ever realized. Every moment of pain you've endured has been shaping you, building you into someone unshakable, someone who can withstand anything that comes their way. The hardships you've faced, the struggles you've overcome, these have been your training ground, preparing you for something greater. The moments of weakness, the times when you thought you couldn't go on, were not your lowest points. They were your greatest opportunities for growth. They were the lessons that taught you how to rise again, how to turn your pain into power. Now is the time to rise. The world doesn't get to dictate your worth, your strength, or your potential. You are the only one who has the power to define who you are. The validation you've been waiting for, the approval you've been craving, it doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. You don't need anyone's permission to stand tall. You don't need anyone's approval to be the person you were always meant to be. You are already enough, and now it's time for you to step into that truth. The world may have overlooked you, it may have silenced you, but none of that matters anymore. What matters is the fire inside of you, the strength you've been carrying all along, and the courage to finally let it shine. Pain is not something that should be feared. It's something that can be transformed. The wounds you carry, the scars that you wear, are not signs of your defeat. They are badges of honor, reminders of how far you've come. Pain can be your fuel. Your struggles do not define you, but how you rise from them does. The things you've been through have prepared you for greatness. Each tear, each moment of heartache, each time you thought you couldn't go on, it has all been building the person you are today. That pain you feel, it's your strength in disguise. It's the energy that's ready to propel you forward into the life you've always dreamed of. Look at where you were, and look at where you are now. The person you were in the past, the one who doubted themselves, who stayed silent in the face of adversity, they no longer exist. You are no longer bound by the chains of your past. You have shed those old skins, those old stories, those old limitations. You are no longer that person. You are becoming someone new, someone powerful, someone unbreakable. The old you may have doubted your worth, may have struggled with the weight of the world's opinions, but the new you knows their power. The old you may have stayed quiet when they needed to speak up, but the new you roars with confidence and self-assurance. The transformation has already begun. You are evolving. You are becoming the hero of your own story, the one who refuses to be defined by circumstances or opinions. The struggles you've faced, the battles you've fought, they were not meant to defeat you. They were meant to prepare you for greatness. And now, as you stand at the precipice of your future, you have the strength to step into it. The past has shaped you, but it does not hold you anymore. The future is yours for the taking. You are stronger than you've ever been, and you are just getting started. There is no going back. The old you is gone. The new you, the strong, resilient, unbreakable you, has arrived. And nothing, not the world, not your doubts, and certainly not the voices of those who tried to hold you down, will ever be able to stop you now. You have the power within you to create the life you deserve, to build a future that reflects your strength, your courage, and your unwavering belief in yourself. The time for hesitation is over. The time to rise has come. This is your moment, and you will not let it slip away. Now is the time to stop waiting. Stop waiting for the world to change. Stop waiting for validation. Stop waiting for anyone to tell you that you're worthy. You already know you are. It's time to rise. There comes a moment in every person's life, a single instant where everything changes. It's a moment of truth, when you see yourself not as the person you've been told to be, not as the person the world has tried to make you, but as the person you've always been meant to become. That moment is now. This is the moment when you realize something that will forever alter the course of your life. You have the power to change everything. For so long you've been waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone else to see your worth. But what if I told you that the only thing you've been waiting for is you? You are the one who holds the power to define your journey. All the pieces you've been searching for, all the answers you've been looking for, they've always been within you. The strength, the resilience, the courage to rise from the ashes of your past, They've been inside you this entire time, just waiting for you to realize it. And now that moment has come. It's easy to get lost in the cycle of waiting for someone or something to change before you take action. We've all been there. We've all hoped that someone else would come along and offer us the key to unlock our dreams. But here's the painful truth. Waiting for others to change is futile. The world will not bend to your expectations. People will not always support you. Circumstances will not always be in your favor. But that's okay, because you don't need the world to change. You don't need anyone else's approval. You have everything you need within you to make the changes you've been waiting for. This is your moment. This is the turning point. This is the moment where everything you've gone through, everything you've experienced, becomes the foundation for your rise. You were never meant to stay down. You were never meant to live a life of mediocrity, of silence, of waiting for permission. You were meant to conquer, to rise above, to create a life that reflects the greatness that already exists within you. The moment you stop waiting for others and start realizing your own potential, everything changes. It's time to rise. Let me say it again. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things are easier. Now. There is no more time to waste. The world doesn't need you to shrink back. It needs you to stand tall, to rise in your full strength, to take up space and claim your worth. Are you ready to take it? Are you ready to step into the life that's waiting for you? Are you ready to make the changes you've been dreaming of for so long? Because here's the thing, this moment will pass. If you don't take it, it will slip away, just like all the other moments you've let go. You must act. You must stop waiting. There is no more room for hesitation. You are ready, you have been ready, and now it's time for you to take control. You've been waiting for the right moment, but the right moment is now. The right moment is when you decide to take action. The right moment is when you realize that you hold the power to create the life you deserve. Not someone else, not some perfect set of circumstances, you. And once you make that decision, once you realize that you've been holding the keys to your own transformation, the entire world will begin to shift. This is the pivotal moment. This is when everything changes. The chains of doubt, fear, and insecurity are broken. The old stories that you've been telling yourself, stories of failure, of weakness, of not being enough, are over. You are stepping into a new chapter, a chapter where you are the hero of your story, a chapter where you hold the pen and you get to write the future. This is your time. You are the one who decides how your story will unfold. You are the one who decides what comes next. The power has always been yours. So, I ask you again, are you ready? Are you ready to rise? Are you ready to step into your power and change everything? The time is now. There is no more waiting. There is only action, only forward momentum, only the unwavering belief that you are the master of your own fate. The world may have tried to silence you, may have tried to make you small, but now it's your turn to stand tall. Now is your time to shine. You stand at the edge of a new beginning, looking back at the person you once were. The person who was defined by the circumstances of their life, the person who allowed the opinions of others, the doubts of the past, and the weight of their struggles to shape their identity. That person, though brave, though resilient in their own right, was still bound by the chains of external expectations. They were still walking in the shadows of their own silence, too afraid to fully rise, too afraid to step into the light of their own potential. But that person no longer defines you. You have changed. Look at who you are now. You are no longer the victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your future. The silence that once held you back, that once made you feel small, has become the very thing that gave you the space to find your true self. You have gone from someone who was quiet and withdrawn, someone who doubted their own worth, to someone who now stands in the full realization of their potential. You are unbreakable. You are unstoppable. The person who once doubted their strength has now fully embraced it. The person who once shrank from conflict now walks with their head held high, fully aware of their worth, fully aware of their power. You are no longer defined by what the world has told you, by the failures or the mistakes of your past. You are defined by the choices you make today. Every decision you've made, every action you've taken has led you to this moment, a moment where you stand not in the shadows of your past, but in the light of your own creation. You have taken your past, the pain, the struggle, and you've used it as the fuel to propel you forward. You have transformed, and now you are free. Free from the shackles of the past, free from the chains of fear and doubt. You are free to become who you were always meant to be. Picture your future self. Picture the person you will become. This is someone who walks through the world with confidence, with grace, with the knowledge that they are capable of achieving anything they set their mind to. This person doesn't wait for permission. They don't seek validation from others. They know their worth, and they are unapologetic about it. They speak with conviction, they act with purpose, and they live their life with intention. They have embraced their own strength, fully aware that no one can take it from them. This person, the one you are becoming, is not afraid to rise. They are not afraid to step into the world and claim their space. They are not afraid to face adversity head on, knowing that they are stronger than anything life can throw their way. They are unstoppable because they no longer carry the burden of doubt. They no longer let the voices of others dictate their actions. They have become the master of their own destiny. Think of the journey you've been on. It wasn't easy, it wasn't quick, but every moment of pain, every moment of silence, every moment of waiting, it all served a purpose. It all led you here, to this moment of realization. The silence you once saw as a defeat was never that. It was always the prelude to something greater. It was the space where your strength was forged. It was the calm before the storm of your comeback. And now that storm has arrived. You are no longer the person who hides from the world. You are the person who stands tall, ready to conquer everything in your path. You are the author of your own story. You write the chapters, you choose the direction, you decide what comes next. No one else can take that power from you. No one else can define you. The world may have tried to keep you small, but you have broken free from those limitations. You are now standing in the fullness of your potential, and nothing can hold you back. As you look ahead, you can see it clearly. Your future is bright. It is full of possibilities, full of opportunities, and full of a power that no one can take from you. You have claimed your space. You have claimed your worth. You are no longer the person you once were. You are someone new. You are someone unstoppable. And as you look back on the person you were, you will see how far you've come. You will see how much strength you've gained, how much courage you found, and how much power you now possess. The silence you once feared was never your enemy. It was the crucible that forged the strongest version of you. It was the space where you found your voice, where you found your strength, and where you found your power. That silence was the beginning of the most powerful comeback of your life. Now you stand at the threshold of your future, fully aware of your potential, fully aware of the power that lies within you. And you are ready to step into that future. You are ready to rise. You are ready to become everything you were always meant to be. This is your time. The person you were is gone. The person you are becoming is unstoppable, and nothing can stand in your way. This is the ultimate transformation. You have realized your worth. You have embraced your strength. You have become the person you were always meant to be. And now, you are free to live the life you deserve. This is only the beginning. This is it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. No more hesitation, no more doubts, no more waiting for the right time or for the world to give you permission. The time is now. You've spent far too long holding yourself back, waiting for someone else to tell you that you're worthy, that you have the right to rise, that you have the power to change. No more waiting. I'm here to tell you, this is your time. This is your moment to step into your power, to claim the life you were always meant to have. The strength you've discovered within yourself is not something you need to wait for. It's already inside you. You've already built it through your struggles, your pain, your silence, your growth. The journey is already within you. Now, it's time for you to move forward. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you that it's okay to take that first step. You don't need anyone's permission to rise. You are already worthy. You are already capable. You have everything you need within you to take the first step toward the life you've always dreamed of. The only thing standing between you and your greatness is the decision to act. So what's next? The path forward is clear. The roadmap is simple, though it's not always easy. Courage, action, and trust in your own power. These are the keys to transformation. Courage. You already have the strength to face whatever comes your way. The hardest part is taking that first step, even when you don't have all the answers. You don't need everything figured out. Just take the next step. That's all it takes. One small decision, one small action, and you'll find the courage to keep going. Action. Dreams and potential mean nothing without action. You've spent enough time thinking, planning, wishing, hoping. It's time to act. The world doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't wait for you to feel perfect, for you to have everything aligned. It's time to jump in, take risks, and move forward with unwavering determination. Action is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. Trust in your power. You've already shown yourself what you're capable of. You've made it through your darkest days. You've survived when it seemed impossible. You've proved to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. Now, trust that power. Believe in your ability to shape your future. You've always had the power to create change, to rise above the noise, and to move beyond the doubts. Trust yourself, and you will unlock the future you've been waiting for. You are no longer the person who waits for permission. You are no longer the person who listens to the doubts and the critics. You are the person who takes action. You are the person who trusts in their own power. And from this moment forward, you will act with purpose, with courage, and with unwavering belief in your own ability to shape your life. And as you move forward, always remember, you were never broken. No matter how many times you've stumbled, no matter how many times you've felt lost, you were never broken. Those moments were not the end, they were the beginning of your transformation. You were not meant to stay down. You were not meant to live in the shadows. You were always waiting to be reborn. Now, rise. Step into the life you were always meant to have. You are unstoppable. You are unbreakable. And this is just the beginning.